At the end of the Oppo Find X8 Ultra camera test, the reason I told you it was my favorite camera phone this year is because I had already tried this phone at that time. I mean, this vivo X200 Ultra is truly powerful. Whether it's photography or videography, ultra-wide or telephoto cameras, and even that external lens, everything just blows my mind. I'm sure your first reaction when seeing it is exactly the same as mine, but why can't it take the top spot in my ranking? There's actually just one simple reason. I won't give you the answer right away. After I show you just how powerful this phone is, then I'll tell you why I ranked it the second. Before testing the camera, I want to talk about some aspects beyond the camera. The X200 Ultra has excellent frequency band coverage. It works well in most parts of the world. Only in the US, some parts of the Middle East and Africa, the signal will struggle a bit. It supports GMS and Google Play, but Google Pay and Android Auto don't work. So if Vivo wanted to, they could absolutely release a global version of the X200 Ultra, but based on maybe business considerations, it seems they don't have plans for that right now. So even though you can't buy this phone in your region, Geek Wheels can help ship it from China to your door. There's even a discount right now. Check the link below the video. The main camera on the X200 Ultra is where the biggest change happens, and also the most debatable part. The focal length has shifted from the previous 23mm to 35mm, and that's a good thing. I made a chart so you can see at a glance how the X200 Ultra's focal lengths are now more logically spaced. On other brands, the ultra-wide and main cameras are often too close together, but the bad news is the 1-inch sensor is gone. If you don't want your phone to turn into a hammer, shrinking the sensor was inevitable. So between 35mm and a 1-inch sensor, Vivo chose 35mm. There must be a reason, right? They say 35mm is the ideal focal length for street and documentary photography, but I'm not a professional street photographer, and most of you probably aren't either. So for an everyday shooter, the main advantage of a 35mm lens is that you can frame your shot without having to take extra steps. Plus, compared to the old 23mm plus 1-inch sensor setup, edge sharpness has improved. As for the downside of the smaller sensor, honestly, it's hard to notice. When I shot in near dark conditions without a direct comparison, I couldn't even tell how much the difference there was. Let me put it this way, if I didn't tell you the sensor was downgraded, you probably wouldn't spot the difference. And compared to the ultra-wide cameras on Xiaomi and Oppo's latest flagships, the downgrade here is almost negligible. If you're not used to the 35mm main camera, you can also crop the 14mm ultra-wide lens to 28mm instead. There will be some loss in image quality, but it's still within acceptable limits. After all, it uses the same sensor as the 35mm camera. You might wonder, why not crop to a 23mm instead? Because 28mm is exactly a double figure from a 14mm, which means the in-sensor zoom feature only works properly at this focal length. Even though it's just a 5mm difference, the gap in clarity is huge, so avoid 23mm. The same logic applies when shooting at a medium telephoto. Stick to 70mm instead of 50mm. That said, since these shots are still digitally cropped, low light performance won't match phones with a native 23mm main camera. This 14mm camera is the best ultra-wide shooter in recent Ultra models, especially after trying the Xiaomi 15 Ultra and Find X8 Ultra. I realized how satisfying it is to have a good ultra-wide camera. I rarely used ultra-wide before because usually its image quality lags behind the other two cameras. Plus, framing is tricky. It captures way more than you want. But since I paid so much for all three cameras, skipping one feels like wasting $300. So lately, I've been practicing ultra-wide composition. For example, with the pets, I used to rely on Telephoto for close-ups to capture their cuteness. But after switching to ultra-wide, totally different perspective. Big heads, tiny paws, a whole new kind of adorableness. And the fur details are still sharp. Trust me, once you see how good the image quality is, you will fall in love with this camera. Of course, there are downsides. Lens limitations mean edge sharpness isn't perfect, and chroma or chromatic aberration can be noticeable in some scenes. But overall, it outperforms most smartphones, especially in night shots and video. If you get this phone, experiment with it, you might discover a whole new world. When it comes to video, a great ultra-wide camera matters even more than for photos. Thanks to OIS and a larger sensor, I'd say the X200 Ultra's video quality and stabilization are close to the iPhone's, and it even surpasses the iPhone at night thanks to that bigger sensor. Normally, I'd show a comparison with the iPhone here, but I will save that for later. The X200 Ultra also supports 4K 60fps 10-bit log recording, yes, without needing an external SSD, and all three cameras can do it. But most of the time, stick with the ultra-wide because it performs well in every scenario. If you switch to the 35mm main camera for video, you will notice obvious focus hunting and the field of view feels too tight. I wouldn't recommend using it for nighttime video. Really, the X200 Ultra is currently the only Ultra flagship with an autofocus enabled selfie camera. Combined with its wide range of beauty filters and modes, you never have to worry about a bad selfie with a vivo phone. It even supports 4K 60fps video recording, although the settings are not as many as the rear cameras. Vivo still has done a very good job on the front-facing camera. The 200MP HP9 is an old friend. This time, the only upgrade is a slightly larger aperture. Everything else remains the same. Sure, it's powerful, but we have already seen its capabilities in so many phones that the wow moment is gone. Just remember this, whether it's photos or videos, day or night, landscapes or portraits, this camera delivers exceptional results. Even at the 170mm zoom, the quality stays decent. It also supports a macro mode, and I'd argue it's the best telephoto lens on any smartphone, no debate. Like Oppo, the AI enhancement in portrait or stage modes sharpens subjects noticeably. Beyond the 460mm, equivalent to a 10x zoom on other phones, the AI kicks in to polish everything. If you hate AI processing, you can either disable it in settings or grab the $230 photography kit for a more natural look. Every time I review Xiaomi's Ultra series, I recommend their photography kit. Now that Vivo has its own version, I'm doing the same. Because the premium kit includes a telephoto extender that boosts the zoom to 200mm. Yes, this Zeiss lens lets you capture distant subjects effortlessly. You could literally use this phone to shoot wildlife on an African safari. I'm not joking. That said, beyond the 400mm, AI processing becomes overly aggressive, and the viewfinder shows a noticeable jelly effect when panning quickly. Oddly, this doesn't happen in video recording. Since the lens flips the image upside down, you must use a special mode to shoot. But this disables the raw shooting, log video, and color mode adjustment. There are also occasional bugs, like a camera being unresponsive or Chinese UI elements. Despite these flaws, if you are wildlife or concert people, it's still worth buying. Too expensive? Wait for a few months. The lens attaches via a standard threaded mount without electronic contacts, meaning third-party clones will inevitably appear at the lower prices. Now let's talk about the other accessories in the photography kit. The grip and the phone case are functionally flawless. The grip is significantly longer than Xiaomi's version, providing a much more secure hold. It connects via Type-C and even features a built-in battery that can charge your phone. The kit includes an adapter ring that allows the X200 Ultra to use 67mm filters. It has all the necessary buttons, even including a tripod screw mount that Xiaomi's version lacks. When detached from the grip, the case itself has a built-in kickstand. Sounds like perfect, right? However, Vivo falls short in one area: build quality. The connection between the external lens and adapter ring isn't as stable as expected. Plus, the plain plastic exterior lacks any premium finishing, making it feel noticeably cheaper than Xiaomi's version. Final verdict for this photography kit, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Just refine those details in the next version and it could be perfect. Yeah, the X200 Ultra delivers a solid camera experience overall. It introduces more customization options, like finally letting you adjust the over-sharpening I've often complained about. The ultra-wide field of view, previously cropped too aggressively by EIS, now allows you to sacrifice some stabilization for a wider perspective. So, time to answer the opening question, what's my real gripe with it? The answer is tonality, the color character of photos. While the X200 Ultra offers multiple color modes, none truly satisfy me. Simply put, I can't achieve that cinematic look Xiaomi and Oppo delivers effortlessly. No matter how I tweak settings, something always feels missing. Even Zeiss modes fall short of Leica or Hasselblad's toner richness. This might not matter to everyone, but it matters to me. Most of Vivo's default color styles lean too vibrant, great for snapshots, but tiresome over time. They excel at everyday documentation, but I'd easily get bored for a long time. While the X200 Ultra isn't my favorite phone this year, that doesn't mean I dislike it. In fact, I'm quite fond of it. The perfect balance of 3 cameras is likely the main reason for its popularity. There's no main camera here, or rather, every camera can be the main camera. You simply choose the focal length that best suits the scene, then capture it. No overthinking required. This feeling of just focusing on what's right in front of you is fantastic. Okay, that wraps up this review. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe would mean a lot. Don't forget, Geek Wheels is offering pre-orders with a discount. This is Will from Gizmochina. See you next time.